there's any questions, then feel free to put them in the chat, right? I'll leave that open, right? And welcome
Okay.
everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome. We're really grateful that you took the time to listen from Geshe-ma, Rinchen, yeah. So Geshe-ma is currently in India, Dharamsala. It's morning time there at the moment, and we wanted to share with you. Um, I think what's the topic exactly? It's about becoming
Oh,
less, more compassion and joy in our busy lives. Very broad subject, a very broad subject about building joy and compassion in our daily lives. All right. So, Geshe-ma has completed about 20 years worth of study and examination, right? And she's been given the title Geshe-ma. Ma is the female version of the Geshe, which is like an equivalent to a doctorate in Buddhist philosophy, right? So she's a certified doctor, basically. So yes, so that's basically it. So I studied with Geshe-ma for 4 years in India. So that's how we know each other. All right. All right. So do you want to say anything in English before we get started?
oh yeah, yes, a little bit. Just like everyone. So I'm staying in Dharamsala, Jamyang Chuling Nunnery. My nunnery name is Jamyang Chuling Institute. So nowadays I'm stay here to with my students. So I'm really happy to with you today. So I want to say that thank you very much for coming here. So I'm going to share you one. I'm going to share you a small story. So I saw an Indian movie. So that the man said that time is money. He said that time is money. So at that time I was a little bit, oh, what he's, like what he's saying, time is money. So I thought that the man said that time is money. So I wondered that what he is talking about. Yeah. So I thought, if he think about money for every time, every minute, when he eating, when we sleeping, when we going, when we talking, every time he thinking, like money. So I thought that, so at the same time, some people thinking that time is peace. Yeah. Time is happiness. So it's the same thing, same time. So what I want to say that today, so your time is very precious. So he saying every time, every minute is money. So that was I'm saying that thank you very much for coming here. So to you you took a time to visit here. So visit here to listen or talk, listen about the our happiness and compassion. So I mean that time is money means time is for now. So this period, time is happiness and compassion. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so yeah, so also, I also thank you to all, because my English is not that good. I hope you will understand. Yeah. So one Jinbuche is one great master in Tibetan master. He's saying that. So I just writing in English. I'm going to read about it. So he said that it is not easy to tell people about what I'm thinking, what we mazuki karisam bade mi pajola share cheyade. So yeah.
Explain.
Be-
So
yeah
it's not easy to explain to others.
yeah, because he said that there is no place to conquer without conquering our on ourselves.
Conquering.
So khare lana
Conquering.
so rang mandulwar tambo mila pha chik share la so rang mandulwar shen dulwar jebe ta shen la kibu de ore compassion che ore labya de le labo yo mares di pha so le she wala thoma tambo so conquering so ene rang sem duwa ji che go res di sungu ba.
So, to begin with, it's very difficult to explain and describe to others without subduing our own minds or controlling our own minds first. So once we're able to subdue and control our own minds, then we'll be able to speak about love and compassion and so forth. But first, we need to, subdue and control our own minds.
So
That's right.
also one Indian I think you everybody know him, Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi. I think everybody know that. He
Yeah.
said, one story of him. So in India, one mother and staying with her son. So her son is every day, every time he eating sugar. So he advised every time, every minute, but his son never listened him. Then never listened her mother. So the mother thought that, oh, so my son is not listening to me. So I think I need to take him, into Mahatma Gandhi. If he advised to his son, he will be, like he will be
Listen.
yeah, he will
Listen.
be listened. So and she took her son to Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi said that, oh, you just come back after 1 week. After 1 week, you just you come back in in my place. And then the mother took her son in her in her home. After 1 week, he went again. He went again meet Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi said, advice to the son, oh, you don't eat sugar. If you eat sugar, your teeth, rotten. Yeah.
Well, rot. Yeah. Be
Yeah,
rotten.
rot. Your teeth will rot, and some just like her mother always advised him always. But Mahatma Gandhi said same thing, and her mother asked to Mahatma Gandhi, it's your advice, like that. If like that, then why you didn't advise when I came first time? And Mahatma Gandhi said, at that time, I'm eating sugar. So how could I advise to other? I'm eating sugar, and how could I advise to other? You don't eat sugar. If you eat sugar, you hurt yourself. So same thing for me, for me, I'm not practitioner. I'm not experienced. I don't have anything. But so when I share something with you, and I must to aware, so that so I must aware myself. So
Mindful.
it's very beneficial. Ngarang la pe hando chambu yongbu dus. And tinde
Yes.
insa kenzo sangma la ni chingne dring di nyam nganzu danda di yama she che nye yongwa la pe menje tu che si.
So, Geshe-ma would just like to say a really big thank you, and so very grateful, because when we speak about love and compassion, we ourselves as the speaker need to be mindful, of what we are saying, but what we are speaking about, we also need to be aware of what we are speaking about and try to practice that in the same way, that we're advising others to do. In the same way that Mahatma Gandhi said that I cannot advise others to give up sugar if I am still eating sugar myself. Yeah. So, Geshe-ma is very grateful to get this opportunity to speak about love and compassion, because that allows her to try to practice it herself. That's all.
Yeah. So today our topic is happiness. How to finding happiness and compassion, right? That's all. Ngazugi ta linking onto the share joja di chage res. Ta digi la dang ngazuchi dang ne ningje dang chamba de ningje la de. And pe chi kya chambo dang things sabi tropic di chage res. And today insan ta thing ngazo chi ngarang solata tizu nung dan tindi di kembe ding ngazo ene chi chamba da ningje dang deki le de kanda chi ni do dich kanto ba chi shuis.
So today's topic is on love, compassion, and joy, happiness. So, but this is very vast and actually very profound. Yeah. So, just to give a brief introduction to this vast and profound topic. Right, just let me know if you can't hear me, because I'm speaking in two directions. Just my cable isn't really that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Is it right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. For you, Dechen, can you hear? All right. Yeah. And re. Yeah. Okay. All right. When I speak into microphone, of course you can hear all right, but when I'm speaking backwards, not so easy. I might even. Why do we go this way? Sorry, one second. Where's the cable? There's one. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
this go out. Okay. What can we go for? Right. Okay. That's better, because if I can see you, it's a lot easier when I'm speaking. Okay. And you just need the side of my face. That's better. All right. All right, Gemma.
Yeah.
Chit.
Ta nganzo ki joja de ni di da ningje ko la insan. Ta dambo nganzo ngarang su ngone deki la de khande chile ngunzi chi ro. Deki la de tanda khare. Ane ningje chambo la de khande chile le gure. Ane ningje chambo de da 디기니기 발라 제와 가리레스 타디 간도 드림파 강투 쇼이나 타조 당보 알레 디기 라발라 소소기 디기 레디 안데치는 무슨 치고레스 타 디쇼이나 인상기 도설라다 저기다 지당 나베 슈니시나 이데나 치 디기당 난기 디니 무슨 치고라 나 디나네 치 디기데 다 디기 치 가지고 다 디기 지야데 이 우에레 말에 다 디나네 아니 개체쇼 다 남베 슝기원이 디기데 치 디기데 나기 디기니 지나네 남베 슝기원이 다 나기 디기데 다 디기 약쇼데다 다 디기 조데 나기 디기 차게레스 다 디기 숭게로
So it is said that for us, our own happiness is something that we really need to identify, what real happiness is, what is the meaning of happiness, yeah? How do we identify it? And also, what is great compassion, yeah? What is the relationship between compassion and happiness? So, in general, according to a Buddhist perspective, we need to identify in what way do we identify what happiness is according to a Buddhist perspective, yeah? So usually it's divided into external happiness or happiness found outside of oneself and happiness that is found inside of ourselves or internally, yeah? So, according to a Buddhist perspective, we don't actually regard external happiness as real, authentic happiness. We see that internal or happiness inside of ourselves is the best type of happiness. That's all.
다
That's all.
맞아 다 딩상 아주 망쳐 디기 레디 컨디션 뭐진 치고래나 되나 치료라 칼라야고 치사야라 바다 위라 돌로야고 치코야라 바다 라발랑 망보 케요 바다 아니 미기 민주고 딘데 론주 체요 바다 얘네 직 카레라 오래다 직 다 ngarmogi mangbo chik sayo wa ta dinde chila ne ngazu ki khalla wala na diki happiness ta ngazu ki dinde chila insang ki de la ngazu ki diki de dinde chila mo ni mang chaogi wangbo nga ki ju de ki bi chi long ju che ge rik din la ngazu ki diki mo ji chi go was
So, most of us, when we look at external happiness, such as delicious food, beautiful clothing, lots of money, and external beauty, or when we eat lots of sweets, we consider this to be happiness. Yeah, most people, they consider the objects of our five senses to be the source of happiness. We consider it to be real happiness. That's a lot.
ta di nangbe shungi chena dila there was some pleasure some remato it's not happiness right dila ngazu ki pleasure legirwa pleasure
Low.
pleasure dang happiness ni parola yewa chiures ra ta dila nangbe shungi ngone ma shebe ina nangbe shungi ngone dungai dela sum shegure dungai gi dungai gyurue dungai khaba duji gi dunges ta dungai sum shebe nane nangbe shungi ta dinde chi ngobo loncho gi chane sosola digi teba dela digi sosola digi soa dela pleasure gi digi re ma to happiness gi digi mares gyumzen di khare la na gyuru to go res ko khari chine la na ngato khala shimbo de za chaba da ngazo gi digi de zoba dinyam re ba ta wala dulo ning jebo chi danda kone ta pena yun rimbo kaze neba yina ya ta dunda chik sin negi re pena soso gi gawe dublo ning jebo 지 소소 가격이 돌아님 제부도 뉘네 소소 초 대화 실리기로 데레 초 대화데 뉘네 형마지 권사회 제라 culture 데레 되기 직 소소 그다베 대화 되기레스 대화를 삼매기 대화 쇼로 다 데디 조사 다 데레 인디 데레와데 happiness 차기요 말레스 다 마음에 좀 원에 데레 숨고레스 다 말랑서 삼로스탄데 페나 happiness 라데 맞을 그두이나야 그두이나 페나 맞을 다 디보지 통나다 다 머리 버지 페나 하저 율데 치 율데 야고 예나다 메나다 맞을 그 고에 둘러데 닌지 슈지 예나다 메나다 소소라 디기 천랑 레투바이나 데려와들라 happiness 레기요와 다 되게 맞을 치 율섬 지 소소라 닌지 보통 다 내가 사라 대삼라 다 맞을 pleasure legi mado happiness legi mares chochik diche ta dine yang manzo pena a duglo ma de pena khala shimbo jizane jela ice cream yang khala shimbo de khala sa shimbo de sa mang da bena manzo le dewa yong yi sabla yang dunge te gi duwa chikche ane ta manzo gi ngar cha mang bo sa ne ngar mo ice cream rik dang ta chi shibu jiza thane jela 다 디기 다 디사회 내가 카델라 디기 또 삼레데 디젤라 아니 가졸라 나모 데 쳔베 가졸라 다 류라 나자치니라 소 베타 나자 담미데 수부도 다 딘데 인사 다 가랑 삼로 야고 싶다나 데려와데 디기레데 다 두메레데 다 딩아 디 톨라 아니 가조 디기 레데 가르치레데 가랑 수기소 아니 가조 디기 레데 아니 수수기다 하고랑 라토베 제부고요레서
So, from a Buddhist perspective, we consider these things, these objects of the five sensory objects, to be a form of pleasure, not happiness. Yeah, so we must distinguish between pleasure and happiness. Yeah, so merely pleasurable doesn't mean that you're actually happy, especially according to a Buddhist perspective. Yeah, but in reality, we can consider these mere pleasures to be of a suffering nature. So the different types of suffering, there is the suffering of change, and the all-pervasive suffering. So these different types of pleasures that we derive through the five sensory objects, our five senses, then these are under the second type of suffering, the suffering of change. Yeah, so these objects, external objects, are really not genuine happiness because they are under the power of this suffering of change. If it's that sense of pleasure that we get, it changes into a type of discomfort, a sense of dissatisfaction. Yeah. For example, if something was delicious, then at the same time it's got that potential to change into something that is distasteful or yucky. And in the same way, we see some beautiful clothes. We might buy it, we might wear it once or twice, and we get a sense of pleasure. But then we get a sense of dissatisfaction and discomfort. Yeah. So this isn't real genuine happiness. It is pleasure. So need to distinguish between pleasure and happiness, because if these pleasures were genuine happiness, it would be at all times a continuous experience of happiness, of pleasure. Yeah, it wouldn't change. We wouldn't develop a sense of dissatisfaction in any way. So whatever we would regard as beautiful whether we have it or we don't have it or not, it would remain beautiful and it would remain like that forever. It would be unchanging. So you can see that we call these types of pleasures temporary, right? Temporary pleasure, not genuine lasting happiness. So for example, another thing, eating too much ice cream, yeah? Eating too much ice cream, then at first it might have, started out as being pleasurable, but then over time we eat too much and then we get we get upset and we feel uncomfortable. And in the same way, eating ice cream on in the hot weather, it may temporarily cool us down, but due to excessive sugar, for example, we can later on get physical diseases like diabetes and other things. So, do we really think that this is real happiness? Yeah, we have to look and see if this is real happiness or not. Whereas in reality, it leads to further dissatisfaction and discomfort. I have no idea what that sound was, but I think Rinchen dropped out. That's what it was. Or is she there? Yes, she's dropped out. All right, hopefully she comes back. So anyway, we got to the point. So we have to look to see if our experience proves that if there's pleasure or is this happiness. All right, let's just wait. I can have a drink while we wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes, back. Hi, Kayla.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right, Kayla, just put your camera on.
Camera on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My camera is on already.
No.
Is it okay? Yeah.
No.
Huh? No?
No, not okay. Bye. Come back. Okay. So usually my voice improves after my mind has settled down a bit, get into the groove. I haven't. Yeah, okay, Killa, you're back. Great. Now put your mic. Your mic. Chigura. Shed. Chebeta. Chigura. Yeah, Mike. Mike. Or I would do
Okay.
it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, correct. Yes, great.
Okay.
What? Yes,
Okay.
great.
Sorry.
Great. Good,
Yeah.
good. All right.
Yeah.
No, good.
ता 정말 가르쳐 ता 딘데 이나 ता 맞고 ता 여기 칼라 심보 류라 닝주고 khoya 아니 물 망보 여바다 아니 tam 년라 세고 네메 칸데 지여베나 ता 디키고 마이나 ता 디기래 디기 해피니스 모네 디 마인 바이나 ता 해피니스 모데 가르레스 ता 맞고 좋아지려고 그러 ता 딜라 다저덤바기 가르숭고요레스 라바이나 ता 소소랑니 데 다니 다기 호잉기스 ता 가르숭고레라나 덤바기 소소랑니 데 소소랑니기 고양레라 소소랑니 데 소소랑니기 자양레스 디숭고 하우서 다니 다기 고잉기스 소소랑니기 껴브레스 본 고츠사
No.
응?
Let's
ता
do that.
다 소소랑이 데 소소랑이 기 권레마도 젠네 수지 권두고 미 젠다지 소소랑이 기 권체라는 베 소소라 시우딘데 제단인데 요 말레스 젠네 수지 권두고 어떠세
No, yeah. No, go. Yeah, go.
답변은 디지콜라나리 다 소소랑이 기 소소랑이 데 소소랑이 기 권레스 봐 소소랑이 데 스페나 So I just read on in English. So the
Right.
dina one truly is the protector of oneself. Protector of
No.
oneself, right?
No.
Susurangi res.
No.
Who else could be protected be? How so?
Who else? Yeah.
다 딘데 인데 제네스주 건드겨 다니 코나 렉둘나스 다 만족이 다 기보다 되기 애는원의 happiness 라데 칸데지 디 용그레라나 소소 랑이 셈데 둘소나 아니 디기레스 다 디숭거 셈 라베나 아 디기 라데 치 디기 멤버 난기 디기 셈 난기 디기 데레스 다 데레 셈 난기 디기 디 칸데시 올라나 소소기 낭 셈데 둘고 비오레스 디숭거라 소소 셈데 비오고 비오레스 다 소소기 셈데 뒤송아이나 다 디기 원에 된 가지고 다 디기 조데 다 디기 원에 된 가지고 더 비오레스 다 디숭거
So we have we may enjoy pleasures such as delicious food, clothing, lots of money, fame, and so forth. But this is not real happiness. This is just pleasure, yeah. So the question arises, what is actual happiness, yeah? So the Buddha's pick, and in one particular quote, is that the Buddha said that you are your own protector. Who else other than yourself is your protector, yeah? Others do not protect you. And in particular, it is subduing or disciplining or controlling your own mind. This is what leads to genuine happiness. Yeah. So that means that in internal happiness, the happiness that is on the inside, that is what is being, and that is achieved by the internal discipline or mental control or subduing your own mind. That's all.
다 디네 인자 만족이 다 셈 마두에 지요 다 디네 이나 낭셈데 아 만족다 또 낭셈데 두알라 칸다스 두고 그래 만족 두삽 칸데 지요 그래 다또 낭셈기 디기 레데 다 만족 소지시요라 셈기 초로와시라 초 심벌 뇨알라나 초 대와 뇨알 징엔데라 아니 디기 딜레요라 만족 낭기 초와데 다 센스 레기 말베 다 딘데 인디 단단한조 가르치고 그래라나 나랑조 가르치고 그래라나 오 빼나 딱 할로래 치고 빼나 분바다지 통소나 오 분바디 닝주 부바마이 빼나 두글로라보다 세심보다 가래나 지 통소나 오 닝주도 하저 치율기 안졸라 땅진 치거레스 치율딘 주기 안졸라 여보 땅진 하고라 당진 제라리 파주 치율 닝저버지 통선아 맞도 셈 대화 차도야 치율도 도녀버지 통선아 마기버지 통선아 맞도 셈 마기버 차도야 제상 만족이 나랑속이 라왕 간상 가르쳐려나 치율 빼나 치 미디기 만족을 떠라다나 만족 가와게 치 미디기 만족을 메라다나 만족 마가와 차야 좋아 가래 이내 나랑속이 왕차 차상 파주 치료를 개버지 차도 다 딘데인디 나랑도 난기 되기 고기요나 나랑도 왕차 차상 치료를 마대발 치기 미기 가릴라기 요새나 치기 율 가리 통기 요새나 딜라 왕차 마대발 소소기 마스터 소소 지고 그래스 다 나랑 소소 기부 간데 되기 대고기돼 되기 고기민데 소소기 딴 남주 배주 당네 아니 소소셈데 다 컨트롤 치우요레스 다 디숭고라 덤바기로와 다 나비 슝경원어
No. That's it.
페나로와 페나
Yes.
다 페나 for example page 주치와이나 페나타
That's
몽아랑조 마가와 계세기 미지 다 미도 다 미샤나 가랑서 김세 가르다 신바이나야 다 데르 시찬에 데르 마가 있겠어 미디 통용디 것을라 미디 파전의 통용디 잡을랑어들 semla 강에 제야 미 파줘도 배 슈주 독자 통로야지로 독자 미 파줘도 배 돈요 통로도 안 저기 다디 가르래라는 가랑도 숨미 이제 남도 되게 좋다기요로 대신도 지당 다 매도라이 지찬에 매도라이 닌저봉아도 수레이나요 배직 semla 가능적인 지차기요로 매도라이 이나양 소소가 파기 김세 소소라 마가 미지든 소소 마가 김세기 미디 통용디 소소 마가게 김세기 미기 강바당 아니 매도당 키당 진짜 참마 그런 갈로를 빼아 소소라 돈요 소르도 그게 매도진 바이나 데리 매도들란 파초 김세기 매도 통에는 매도들란 아주 컨트롤 해야 되는데 용구도 다디 수수래 디수즈는 디 파조 김세기 미기 쇠바 말에 김세 매도기 간절라네 간절라 강에 때리베 간절라 마가스르 김세 매도기 간절라 개체야 말에 대신에 김세라 예비 잘라당 모자당 까당 강바당 안에 들어 다 키는 시미엔체기 컨설 간절라 내 가르게요 개고지게요 말아 이날에 니도 사망 간절 가르래 니도 사망 간절 가르래 마랑저기 삼로데
Okay.
컨트롤 체마 투상 수수기 셈기 깔리 수고를 수edi기어로다 지난전 파기 메도디 간절 가르네를 개고시네요 메도라디 지찬에 맞 상말을 가나데세 유치하고 다 이날에 죄송 데려와디 가르치네래라나 수수기 셈 모두 왕게레스 인디 가래라나 또 수수기 셈 두어 채고레스 덤바기 셈 두어 채고레 손에디 디레 딱 파저 율 도녀부 통야다 파저 율 닝저부 통야디 가래라나 소속이 출미 이제기 남도디 파조다니 오빼 닝저버셔 직 소속 가서 지긴바는 빼 닝저부 통로에 소속이 뜻 마가시네 차 탐제네 미도가 통로에시도 다 어딘서 참제 아니 출미 이제기 남도기 도다니래 근데 인디 출미 이제기 남도기 조마다보다 근데 조다 땅인 길로데 땅진시네 컨트롤 체네 디 메버서야가 충도 써야돼 탑시 땅에는 에네 소스 센데 뷰고르레스타 템바기 되기 다니다기 고행이 신의 수주고도 스니 레버도나 소스가 센데 뷰서나 에네 소스라다 데와토그레스타 디승고 다디 나랑도 삼로야고 치탄다 뭐네 칸데 직 하저 메도디기 가서네 가르게요래 하저 김세 마가 소스 김세 마가서 저기 강바당 노르당 아니 둔도당 메도당 모자기 가서 가르네게요래 디섬 가서 직 삼로 소소기다 따지 채우고도 왔어.
Let's, hmm.
Yeah,
So,
but
so
mention
how, what are the methods for subduing and disciplining our own minds so we can establish a sense of inner happiness, yeah, a feeling of internal happiness, yeah. So this is so when we talk about internal happiness, that is a sensation, a feeling, yeah, that we get to experience. But when we say, for example, beautiful clothes, right? These are external objects. But when we apprehend, when we see this beautiful external object, or likewise, when we see an ugly or unpleasant external object, or when somebody really berates us or praises us, these are all from external objects that we apprehend, we can conceive of in some way, yeah? And when we focus on trying to derive real happiness from these external objects, then we're not in a position where we can control what these external objects are. Yeah, what appears to us outside of ourselves, we don't have any control over these things. outside of ourselves. But what we do have control or able to build our discipline over is our internal objects, you could say. So this is what the Buddha meant by becoming your own protector, your own master. Yeah. From Buddha's perspective, this is what it means to control, subdue, or discipline yourself according to the Buddhist texts. Yeah. So, so, for example, when you see or when you meet somebody that we may dislike, yeah, or we see somebody that is being a bit of a troublemaker, then our own way of apprehending or conceiving them as an external object is exaggerating the situation. Yeah. And likewise, when we see a flower, we may see that external object as something that we like. We see it in a favorable light, so to speak. Yeah. But when we see the flower of the person that we dislike, or the the objects, the house, the dog, the neighbor's dog, the neighbor that we dislike, their dog, their cat, their things, their flowers, we develop a sense of anger and agitation just by associating them, that flower, that dog, that house, that car, that didn't do anything to us. But we feel a sense of anger and dislike towards it because we associate it with the individual that we dislike. Yeah. But this is, where is this coming from? This is coming from our own undisciplined, our unsubdued mind. Because in reality, that dog, that cat, that object, that thing hasn't done anything to us. But because we've exaggerated that apprehension of that object, it is making us feel angry and disturbed. Yeah. So there's no fault of the flower. There's no fault of the dog, the car, anything. But it is due to our over exaggerated apprehension of that thing that is leading to our mental agitation. So, likewise, when we see something that is so beautiful and something that is so ugly, this is due to our over exaggeration of those qualities on that object in our own mind. Yeah. And that leads to, to various states of agitated mind. Yeah. So, so, so what are these methods, yeah, to learn how to control and subdue or discipline our minds, yeah? So firstly, we can start to reduce those agitating, emotions. And then finally, we can, gain some control over our mind. And this is leading to an experience of inner happiness, internal happiness. And I'm not sure what I meant by that at the end, but then that's basically
Yeah, okay.
it.
Mm.
So yeah, all right, let's do it again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The songs are 아니 다 나주기 땅원이기 되길래데 나랑서 미 칸데지 통화이나야 소소 마가와지스 미 미식 통화이나다 소소 가와지스 미식 통화이나다 미 칸데지 통화야 소소기 셈데 디스터브 제마투니야와 미 파조디기 소소라 디스터브 제마투버 시장 네트워크이나 데라 다 해피니스 라 어딘데치라 비오다 다 직 Tena dingsa nganzo gi ta love la dia ta nganzo gi tsewa la ji khari ina ta dingsa business do cha de I love you because you love me right khare la na nga khiran la gi kimzen khari chene kimzen ngala gagi za nga kyola gabuchis ngazu gi gimzen diko gurwa nga kerana gagi gimzen kharichene kyo ngala gagi duwas ro gimzen dirwa ta ngone gi ta phajo mi phajo de la tsewa ga mi phajo de la gabuchigi na nga kyola gagi dus kerang ngala ganada maganada nga kerang la gagi dus pena ngazu chik chi changsa gya bende chemine kapla 내 콜라 파 가보 쳐버리기 니 파줘들 기부 용해기 된다라 아니 콜라 가보 치기스 라바이나 가르차레 데데웨 세워디 세워 ngwe 차기요라 김제 하고세 nga 파줘 미들라 가야 돼 가르치려나 니 파줘 미들라 기부 용야가 대화 용야 이나 아니 데데 가와 데다 가와 ngwe 차고라 다 딩상 안저기 가와 다 비즈니스 스토리 마이클 가기도 김제 평말 가기도 와스 인상 마이클 가기도 슬라비나 따자마 차고말 지산 딘데 인디 상마랑 쪽 삼로 땅초데 봐다 미신다지기 따 딘데 임바이나 데 기시 따 마이클랑 가기도 김제 칼라나 미 파조 키랑 기부 요야기 된다라 아니 nga charang la gagi tu la bina jema mi phajo digi soso la ne de ne ke wa imba ina soso mind la disap cha thu gi o ma ta business ki lab cha bina nga ko la gagi gimse ko nga la gagi tu le gimsen dinde ji khene do ina jema mi phajo digi ta soso gawo je se mi digi soso la ke ja nyota chungza ji she bina ya soso ma ki ba cha ma de wa cha soso phajo digi soso la ta ji 직 가보다보 다 소소라 직 인텐션 셰다 마테디 에네 소소 마이키 바차 소소 가보 차도 마이키 바차도라 다 딘데 인상 체자 미 파졸라 제와데바 이나다 미 파졸라 직 소소 다직 칸데지 체바 이나 니야데 소다 카레라나 소소 그 마인라 디스럽 마차바 이나 디스럽 차 마투바기 소소라 대와지 레기 요나 다 데저와디 대화 ngwe 차기요레스 다 데레 대화 델레발라 에네 남베중 모네다 낭셈기 대화 델레발라 다 가르숭교레라나 참바당 니셰 아니 직담에도 베셰라블라에 다 딘데 딘소 에네 가도 뒤긴도 나랑도 니마 니레게 쳬 나올라 다 딘데 리 에네 소세 나 소세 아니 프랙티스 셰부레스 다디 프랙티스 셰비나 당원이기 대화 되는 간절라 다 라그레스 다 디숭고로 딘데 인디 따조 나랑도 디기 링안도 디기 라디기 남중에 나랑도 디기 라디 칸데치레 문진 치기 방부디 하고 그도 봐. 다 남중에 나랑도 문진 디기 문진 체비 디기 소송원에 디기 되기메데 디 도난 체고 그도 다 소소라 디기 뭐네 디기 되기메나 당연 노출 가르치고요나 따로 남긴 점링 나니 딘데 치용고를 통해 디기 nga줄 디기 때 두고미도 다 디기메나 nga랑 기타 디기 짤 돼야디 디기 데모네 레데 레미도야라네 다 소소기 따제 체네 아니 다 디기 모네데 칸데 이민데 다 소소기 하고 와야래도 다 디기 규 가래래도 다디 아니 직 따제 체네 나 소소기 다 삼로 남주 베조다네 아니 데데 디기 마이나 다 디기 되게 규 가래도 다 디기 레데 칸데 칠레레데 그래서 딘데기 돌아는 가랑 또 롭션 체고야당 직 나랑 저기다 삼로 땅와디 다 게침부 차려서 봐. 다 딘데 인디 엔네탄 나비 슝딩원이 셰베이나 다치 맞아 파디기 최대야 디기 말에 다 조조 디기 레디 낭슨 기로와 땅에다 낭슨 기로와 땅와라 근데 기로와 땅이 락차도 투스도 탑시 가리레 라베나 and compassion ra and love sewa chambadang ningjedang and chamyeje 자주 sendijo ne di chagiyores ta disungoro sevaje ta ngajugi ta chi mangbochiyorwa ta odinjo ene nangyu sosu choy nanglo beju tangwadi odi chagiyore di yobeina ene sosugi ta chi manda disab maya chagmare ta disungoro
So, what is actual happiness? Yeah. So, we can, regardless of what we are observing or experiencing from outside of ourselves, if we become, um, regardless of what we see outside of ourselves, then our mind remains stable and unchanging, yeah, sort of no, so unerratic, So then, regardless if we see something or we experience something that we like or dislike, we will remain unaffected by it, mentally unaffected by it. We will not be disturbed by it. So, remaining in this sort of stable, calm way, then we can consider this as a type of internal happiness we're able to manage regardless of the external conditions, if they are good or bad. So, for example, these days, when we think of what love is, usually people regard love like a business transaction. Yeah, you love me, so therefore I will love you, and vice versa. They love me, so I will love you, and I will love them because they love me. It's like a business transaction. It's dependent on the other person loving you back, for example. And this is what we usually regard love is these days. But a genuine sense of love is with the idea to bring about happiness for the other person, regardless if you receive it back or not. This is genuine love, unconditional love, you could say. So, so when people get married under the first type of love on a contingent, right, dependent type of love, then as soon as they may hit some complications or problems in the relationship, then, things start going south. They start going bad, yeah? So these days, love is generally like a business exchange, yeah? And, but for genuine love, even if situations harmful, harmful or negative situations arise, if you continue to still wish the other person to be happy, then this is genuine love, you know? So, so if you're able to consistently give that sense of wanting the other person to be happy, and this is not going to be disturbing your own mental happiness, regardless of what is happening outside of yourself. So it's not going to disturb your mind. Yeah. So from a Buddhist perspective, if we cultivate, build up love, compassion, compassion, and wisdom, it doesn't hurt, by the way. All right, it's just forcing it to get out. There's no pain. All right, I'm not like but from a Buddhist perspective, love, compassion, and wisdom, if we practice this as much as we can on a daily basis, then eventually we're going to be getting that lasting internal happiness. Yeah? But first, we need to know what is happiness. Yeah? We need to identify it, and then we can check what whether or not we get happiness from the outside, or if we don't get the happiness, what are we doing wrong? What mistake are we making? If happiness is supposed to be derived from the outside of us and we're not getting it, there's something's going wrong, right? So we need to question and investigate for ourselves, yeah? So So we need to use our own reflection, our own discrimination, our own intelligence. Well, what is the cause of happiness? How do we get it? Right? So in order to learn the ways on how to get that internal happiness, then we need to study and we need to reflect. This is so important, yeah? But from a Buddhist perspective, gaining that true inner happiness, it means mainly to change our own minds. Yeah? So, so, and then we can think about how we can receive advice, words on topics such as compassion, love, bodhicitta, and other things. Yeah? Patience. There's lots of things that we can cultivate in order to build that inner happiness. And then finally, not allowing our minds to be disturbed by external circumstances. That's cela.
다
Yeah.
딘데인데 땅아주 다 참바다 닌제 레디 땅아주 낭기 셈 낭기 아니 다 happiness 레디 internal happiness 레디 다저 거네 레게르라나 다 참바다 닌제 다 디숭겨 봐다 딘데이나 다 닌제 레디 칸데치레 닌제 레겨레스 what is compassion brother
No.
닌제라나 칸데치레 닌제 레겨레스 다 compassion love ina ta ti inchi sirwa ta ning je love ina nambe shon ning je la de nambe shon ning je la ning love ina heart le gyore heart le gyora ta je love ina khare love la na ta zo yorwa zo chila zo chewa jela yes ta ning je la na dinde chela le gyore ta di kandas ta dishe gyabayina ta kandas dishe wana songzang ngarang so rangchen sama kande ji yinbayina rangi nyingi nangdu ane so tabu gang jio tabu simba chigla ning ches hausen ngarang so mi rangchen kande ji yinbayina yang mi rangchen kande ji yinbayina yang ngarang so nyingi nanglas in our heart rada nyingi nangla so 개 첨보당 소 첨보지 짐바데라 닝제스 따치 코랑라 닝제라나 독도르 셰겸나 딘데질레겨레 닝라나 하트 제 라비나 like 칼라타 high or great right 닝제스 따 딘데라디 따 닝제 라디기 카레라오르라나 랑당 랑레 셴베 미탐제 랑기 닝두 개 첨보직당 소 첨보를 진고 그래. 닌지 식도도 디시겸나 딘데르 쓴 거로. 다 칸라는 개 첨보지 그래. 랑당 랑레 셴베 미탐제 랑기 닌기 낭도 소 첨보지당 개 첨보지 지고 그래. 다 식도도 그런 닌제래 도도를 디시겸나르다. 응? 다 디순 거로.
Let's So, when we speak of love, we speak of compassion. We consider these two things to equal the inner happiness. Yeah? So now, what is compassion? Compassion is an English word, but when you say it in Tibetan, it's ningje. Ningje. It's broken into two syllables. And the first syllable means heart, right? Physical and metaphorical heart, right? So, in our hearts, right? And the chair is placing a very strong emphasis. It means mainly, but a very strong emphasis. And when you describe it in a little bit more detail, then it's really holding in your heart others in a higher or high regard than yourself. So to put it another way, when you've holding others in a higher regard in your heart more than oneself, right? That is a general explanation of what compassion is. Yeah. So, and it is briefly described in these two syllables, ning, heart, and zo, je, which is like zo, which is like mainly or important or in high regard. Yeah, so holding others in high regard in terms of yourself. Right? That's the meaning of compassion or 닝제.
다 나바상게 기타 디코라닝제라 닝다 제레 디기던다 차기르와 다 닝제 다 나바상게 바기 compassion 라바이나 칸데질라기요레라나 미파데 소소게 미게 object 랑레 셴베 셈젠라 미네 셈젠디기 둥알데 라면 둥알다 잘워도베 concern other 데르 둥알데레 semjengi dungal de thondi dere dungal dele kyabar debe logic la ningjes le gyore mipa semjen thamjele mi namba de dungal dele thawar doba ra ta cho khare la na concern other suffering relief other suffering rada concern rada pena ningje le digi mipa semjen rang le shembe semjen le mi ne dere semjen digi nya dunge de dunga dele tower debe ene seven number change la ta ninjes compassion lana ta disungore pena ta other beings ro ta mish other sentient beings ki da dunga concern khonzo gi dunga la concern chene thede dunga dele kyobar debe logic la ta ninjes ta nabasange be shune ta disungore wa ta dinde indi 다 당부 딜랍잖아. 오케이.
That's it. So, from a Buddhist perspective definition, it said that ninja or compassion. Somebody say it for me.
Compassion.
Yeah, thank you. All
Sorry.
right. No.
Compassion.
It's the topic. It's gonna
Okay,
come up.
sorry.
All right. So
Okay, yeah.
the object of our compassion is others, so other than ourselves, and in Buddhist perspective is all other sentient beings. So that's our object. And the aspect or the focus of that object is to relieve them or allow them to or make them be separated from suffering and discomfort, right? So, with an aspect of a sense of concern, a sense of love, that is a concern out of concern for them, that you wish for others to be separated or relieved of suffering and discomfort. So that is like a technical definition of what compassion is according to the Buddhist texts.
다 양 도디주나 compassion 라데
Gela
랑
this
비sen데 제마.
Gela
신
just
비sen데 제.
Gela
Okay.
on the tiwa this.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Me. So in the name of compassion, could I say something like, I do not love what you are doing, but I do love what you're trying to achieve? Would that be
So
the other in a positive manner, but overlooking the whole thing, they're trying to achieve a good outcome?
that so him diwa
Yeah.
ninja
Okay,
ninja
Nijana,
아,
Okay.
닌자인, 신기 자와, 신기 자와, 가보메스, 라, 반, 신이나, 가보예스, 랍나, 디기레베.
닝제라는 생기 차와 가보면 생이나 가보 요새.
신긴, 랑, 가보예, 이니 신기, 자와, 가보베, 랍,
또 생기 차와 means
신기,
생기
자와,
차와 람나
미케베 자와.
미게 차와. 알래요. 다 디딘데 말해.
음,
답변나 신 미게 신 닝제래 아 미신 칸데지 임바이나야. 내가 독자 칭에 임바이나다. 내가 야고 칭에 임바이나다. 내가 칸데지 시기 임바이나. 될래. 딱고 내가 독자 지치기는 아카 딱고 내가 독자 지치기 닝제 균제 코데려 어디 독자 임바 무마시 하마고 있는 코 내가 딘데 지치기도 삼네 양수 시스템 나로라 직제 넘버 레셔와 딘데 페나 니 파조 내가 독자 지기는 콜라 마가 제가 니 파조 되기 내가 약고지 지기는 콜라 가와겨 딜라 닝제 레기오 말에 닝제 라데 니 파조 칸데지 지면 콜레가 독자 지기요나다 내가 넘버 지기요나다 미 파조들 제외 넘버 레 보여요. 금세 미 파조기 내가 독자 지면 그 내가 독자 지기요나 그대로 내가 독자 지야디 코랑 마셰베 왕기. 그라 아카 닝제 코타 디 내가 독자에 코 하고 그미도스 딘데 인자 콜라야 하버드 제월레비아. 보초세.
no,
Did you understand
no,
what I'm saying? Okay.
no.
So is that his question?
Yes,
Is that his question
basically.
answer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
다
So,
닌제라데 또 랑 제바 많이 봐. 셴 제바. 셴기 내가 독자 제나다. 야고 제나다. 간데르 진바이나다. 셴기 내가 독자 제바이나 내가 독자 제와달라 너는 학벌도 제와이게. Why? 라. 김제 칼란 아카다 코 딘데 제데 코 마셰베온 게 지기도 삼네 양결 닌제 제와디 양 슈도 페데. 아
love,
딘데 제라다 닌제 레기오레서.
love. That's
음?
so, so, regardless of if the other person's actions, good or bad, we still, it's a thought that's coming from us. That is, regardless of whatever type of action, good or bad, the other person is engaging in, then we still have the wish that they be free from suffering or separated from suffering. That is that wish, that sense of concern is what compassion is, right? So when you see somebody that is engaging in bad behavior, that is actually a good reason about why you can increase your own compassion, because you can clearly understand that they're engaging in bad behavior or whatever it is because they're out of a lack of understanding the situation, not knowing the situation, lack of clarity, whatever it is. So you can even strengthen your own wish or sense of concern for that individual because you can see that they're engaging in things that they are harmful, and you can build an even stronger sense of concern or a sense of compassion. So the angle of compassion is coming from us. This is what we are building in our own minds. Yeah. Does that give you some clarity?
더동 가래라나 더동 쪼지로 so
Sorry.
더동 콜라 닝제 망하게 와 코딘데 내가 독자 지기요나 콜라 더동 하버도 닝지게 와 아카 닝제 또 코딘데 내가 독자 지비기 생기 더동 코랑 동알 망 아니온 거래 데려 미 내가 독자 칭인데로 와코 더동 코 강알 망보뇨야데 동알 망보뇨 그래 다 데려 동알 데레 다지 소소기다 아 소소기 dropo당 소소 dropo 좀 딘데 임바이나 더동 콜라 오다 캐난 딘데 마제 딘데 제베나 딘데 용그래 딘데 용그래 말에 베스 파 서제션 때야로 걔랑 딘데 내가 딘데 치고 둥알 파 코랑 둥알을 줘야기 내가 된데 지기요나 콜로 강한요 내가 된데 지기요나 따이랑 다 소소 조고 좀 드셔 임바이나 조고 좀 임바이나 다 된데 제베나 엔데 용사 마레베 엔데 용사 마레베라나 탑케베 토네 코 된데기 레가라 머주에 탑시체야 다 미신다 미스다 소소단 제와메가 미신다 지기 된데 지기요나 땅 맞으 배 탑시요 말와 근데 인디 아카 딱코 데르 둥알레 둥알레네 도쇼 냠베 몰람데리아 몸바치야 좋아 다 딘데 데라 콜라 데르 미 내가 두자 징한다 대동 하버드 제와기 부레스 하버드 제와기 오비 김생 카레 코 딜라 때네 데르 미데 대동 둥알 망도 용그레 상가 코다도 코 내가 두자 제비 기슨 코라 니 파쇼 데르 둥알 용구여와 둥알 용구구여와 근데 인상 대동 데르 미들 하버드 제와기 부레스 디순거
mm, mm, mm. So it is said that when we do see people, if you consider them your friend, yeah, if you consider that relationship to be, your friend, then you see them engaging in negative behavior, yeah, then this is even more of a reason to build a stronger sense of compassion, right? Because you know that what they're engaging in will lead to further harm and suffering for them, So that's the reason why that you can build your own sense of stronger compassion for them. And if you regard them as a friend, then you can advise them, don't go this way, go, behave in this other way. But if it's a stranger that you don't have a connection with, then you can't do anything about their behavior, but you can see and you know that what they're engaging in is going to lead to further suffering for themselves. So it's really gives you a stronger sense of compassion for them, but you can also, reflect and make an aspiration, may they, not engage in that behavior. You can make an aspiration or a prayer and say, may they see the error of their ways, so to speak, right? And did you have a question?
다양게 삼도 단초치라
Quanti this
양게 줘
tick lab기도.
okay sure yeah
No.
So I could be like, I see you showing like anger and fear and pushing people away even. But I can identify this as troublesome behavior, and I could offer my person as a solution in this situation, or as a understanding
Advice.
Understanding advisor, even a communications facilitator, or etc. I can offer my service. If it's not taken up, there's not much more I can do. But if it is taken up, then I've shown passion in that situation.
Yep. I will translate it and check. Petachashna Koki Tropo Mikiwe Chopa Di Tone Any Koiki Lapcha Yapo Ra any Lapte any Lapcha Te Mishepa any Maleta Mandiana any Koiki Germindu Tapche Petus Yene Koiki Lapcha Kapiaki Gulo Ninche Re any Tihita Di Yabuduke.
so can you okay
Yes,
can you can I inji tola lamna digidu can please sure okay yeah
Good job, kid. 나 베개를 라고요.
So
yeah, any
되게 라나가
need.
고츠미데 그냥 보고 되게.
I got a yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure.
I've got
Sure.
this boba yet. This boba yet.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just saying. She's saying just say it in English. I don't understand what you're saying. But I'm like, no, I have to try it, but but yeah, now so me cookie trouble.
Okay.
Cookie
His friend.
trouble. Yeah, cookie trouble. Jepa duksa.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jepa duksa any chat any cookie.
Labja na
Lapcha
nyingi mi
yapo.
dus. Yeah, I
La any
understand.
Yankee
Okay.
mintu.
Yeah, he didn't listen.
La
Okay.
any hini
Huh?
kongi long ninche ra ninche ki wangi ini di lapcha kamne ne ku Yankee mintu.
Nyingi mi do.
Ini ya ini di tabu chete yabu duke diki duke.
Mare, ta di dawo kare dawo.
De
So,
lapcha
kogi ta
kapre di padian ini di ninche ki wangi.
manyana ane?
네, 데레 얘네 크기 좋다. 야부레 배.
Sugi do da.
야부와.
Sugi do da.
크기 랍치 캡킨.
Oh, labja
랍치
gyabya di
캡킨.
yabo de bese. Dida yabo ba. Dida yabo ba. Ta ina kare lana. Korona drobo digi di la kashe ende yore. Labja gya le di labja gya di themajik labja gyamne yuya dinde yo mares. Pena nganzo samno tangda ro. Pena nganzo khande de chi yimba yina ya tuzo le gyuwa dhoya yore. Dinde indi kogi kyan korangi drobo isemla ya gyuwa tebiya nimajik dende yongore. Dinde indi themajik labja gya themani labja gya ta nyawson ko thagazi resha. Dinde yuya namya yo mare samgidu us ngaranchina. Kare lana kola yang dawa chingi chela yang labja yang thapshi shende thone yang labja tang labja gyap yang dawa khashe thole yang labja gyap khala semshu chayo mares ninje ledi oba shumba de la ninje legi mare just forget it, he didn't listen di labina de dawa de manze vita nekap ki khola. I think there is just pity, it's not compassion, right? Dindegi samlo de pity samlo re mato compassion de mares. Compassion in bayina kudu ina ya le matang korangi drobo di ta drobo ina da mi khande chi bayina kudu ina lo matang ta khonga gi kale gyura tango sane labja di yansi kale chi yang topic shende thone gyura tan de yang samche shende thone share de inde gyura tan yores pe na nge ta pe na nga gi ta pe sun chu shu bayina ta nga zo nangbe ngone kharsunga relana düze tang timing ra düze kamdang möba de ichvelani düze tang dinde mangbo jitagi yore pena nimaji khogi labjala manyana nimaji tenden khola yang ji gyuraji theni tenden kho gyura yongre samne dinde gi samno kulon shu dabu khe tenne khola gadu ina yang ninje digi madorwa chewores ninje gi masimba chewores ta dinde chewa ina dile ninje legirwa shemain ba ina ngazo khari yorelana ninje dang ninje che pity che men compassion pity any khareta pena I think there's many words khareta tesqua ta I forgot the words pity che compassion che ta dinde paroli khaba chembo yor nge danda di gale la nge shewo sandi so nge di nanglo le yore ane ninje le de la yang zewaje ninje je pity dinde rig de la pe difference chembo yor right altruism re yang I think one word is altruism.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
dide indi dinzu sangmala kheba chimbo yorwa ta
Nale.
khorangi pha labja gyamne jela ta nge di ngengi me du yu sho samba ina ta di So compassion ninja rang chagyo mares. Di koi dungal de la susu topo de la tsewa yo tsewa di wangi koi dungal de la ninja la di piti ki number rocha. Ana koi parangi labja gya manya na yu shaba ina. The di tsewa genuine, it's not genuine compassion ba chagyo mares. Tende impi tsewa la di ninja nambe jung ne ninja la di kadu ina le matang you understand that right le matang ju yes ta dinde chilani ninja la gyo yes yeah
all right so in light of I'll just reiterate what you said that you advise the other person to and give good advice to the other person, but they don't listen. Now, if you just leave it and just give up and don't advise them again, that this might actually fall into the category of pity. Yeah, you might feel sorry for them. But what compassion is that compassion doesn't give up giving that good advice, but it is sensitive to the timing that that advice is given, because they may not have listened to that advice in that situation. Maybe after a week, month, or many months, their mind might have shifted a bit, might have changed a bit, and you've continued looking, trying again to give that good advice. So it's not just giving good advice, they don't listen, they don't take it up, and then you're just saying, forget it. They're not listening, but it's about keeping being consistent or persistent, but allowing their mind to change, and then looking at the timing. Is the advice good, So real genuine compassion is a type of compassion that doesn't give up looking for the welfare of the welfare of others. So not giving up, giving that good advice for that person. Yeah. So so it really does depend on the timing of giving advice, because their minds can change, but also their personality and their own disposition, the disposition of the other person, is that advice, good advice, suitable for them as an individual. Yeah. So what real compassion is technically known as infallible, something that doesn't give up on others, something that is infallible. And that's what real is. It would just fall into lots of different English words. There's compassion. So yeah, that type of it that yeah that that they haven't listened. Yeah. So real genuine compassion between what love is, what compassion.
right
Is. Yeah. And Geshe-ma will go through as we move on to do special. Otherwise, we can take a few more questions.
oh okay
Do you want
so
to say the finish?
yeah so our turn is finished
No,
Wait.
but No, but if you want to say
Oh, yeah.
anything else,
아니,
then we
okay.
can
So,
have some
너도 다 딘데지요.
questions.
Okay. So, 너도 딘데지요. 배나 강사 파조디기 만조라 답미 파조디기 배 내가 독자 지기요나. Can you hear me?
No, I can't. They're talking.
Sorry.
I can't because it's distracting. Right?
You can't hear me?
Good. Yeah. No. Good. Yeah, good.
Okay, yeah. So, yang samlo dancho ji dinde yore. 전주 나로라 레비 쇼라 갈송 요래라나.
That's it.
미 파조디기 내가 독자 지기 요배나. 거기 내가 독자 되라. 뭐고 제고레스. 이나양 대대위 미들라 닌지게 오레스.
No.
좋아. 김zen 가르치네. 코 대대위 내가 두자 제야디. 콜라 뇨몽기. 코 뇨몽기 파 쿠란 뇨 대대 강사디 뇨몽 숙치위 규zen기. 아니 코 대대위 내가 마임바다 두자 된데 지기요레스. 좋아. 근데 거기 내가 두자 쳐야 되라 내가 두자 되라 되라 뭐고치 아니 미코랑 되라 닌지게 오레스 닌지게 고이 김제 아니 닌제 딱코 빼나 가랑 소야 대가랑 로아 가랑 소빼 콘도 심보지 라요인데 미 파조기 가레 라바 이나양 다둥 대대와디 미 파조디기 랍자 가레 갸바 이마 이나양 두라 드라마도 멜라 두투고 민도아 멜라 두투고 민도아 야, 다 네가 나신지. 다 미 파줘도 직 뇨몽기 시원도 뇨모숙 침배 시원도 규르는데 내가 본 적이 다 랍자 가래를 지켜봐 있네요. 아니 직 콜레 펜도 야, 다 용도 하고 말해대. 이나야. 아니 직 콜라 직 코랑기 그 내가 제당들라 뭐고 전에 아니 콜라 직 양시양시 제대로이나 이마 지텐데 아니 다직 교용 시그레스 근데 인디 계세 시와라게 가르 숨겨래라나 대다위 내가 두자 증인기 내가 두자 될라 뭐고 지고레스 이나양 강 내가 두자 증인기 강사 될라 닌제 공고레스 다 거기 내가 두자 제바데당 내가 두자 증인기 강사 될라 이와 치고레스 because he is not control himself right he is controlled by 뇨몽
Bye.
ignorance.
No.
So today insan today kheba chine yanji nga du ningje samlo tan che yore so.
No.
Ta so yeah okay.
That's so I don't have my glasses on. No, it's just I realized like an hour later. God, mission goodness. I couldn't. Right, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
This is a good sign. We really show you interest.
Focus. Yeah. Well, I have no choice.
Oh yeah, we're staying focused. Sorry.
Yeah. Focus.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right, sorry. Sorry. So there is a really nice quote in the a book written by an Indian master called Shantideva in the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, right? And it's referring to distinguishing between the bad behavior of a person and the person themselves. So it's important for us to protest against or stand up to the bad or negative behavior. But we keep compassion for the individual, for the person. So what it means is that we need to learn to separate an individual from their behavior behaviors. Yeah. And this is what is outlined in this quote from Shanti Deva in the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So we protest or stand up against the negative behaviors, right? And why are they engaging in those negative behaviors is due to those afflictive emotions, those disturbing emotions. Yeah. So, for example, when somebody is really angry, yeah, then even though you might give them some good advice, it feels like poison to them, not medicine at that time because they're under that control of anger. They take it as poison, yeah? And so that it means that they're really out of control. Their mind is under the control of anger. So, so we need to stand up against that behavior, but we still retain our compassion for that individual, right?
They're showing weakness, and we're trying to communicate with them. It might be beneficial in that situation to show strength, so they can have respect. You say like, they're feeling weak. By anger, showing anger to me is a weakness. So if I come in and try and be kind and nice, they can perceive that as weakness and not respect what I say next. But if I come in and show firmness, stability, strength in these ways, that gives them more opportunity to go, hey, this guy might be worth listening to. You say, no.
What's it? Well, it's a bit hard to interpret that into this scenario. A little bit, but the point is, it's just to maintain your compassion for the individual, not get upset or reactive because they're got their bad behavior, right? Just keeping your own compassion for them, right? Right. Okay.
To help, I can tell them to leave and not focus on them so much. Just, can I do it now or can't I do it? You say, yeah. Okay, I say, yeah.
What he is saying is that rather than reacting, to the angry situation, then keeping that focus on yourself, and just being, strong, and I guess you
Yes.
could say supportive, right?
That's why
Yeah, supportive
Mhm.
of the other person
Yes.
that is angry.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Then
All right.
inza yang ato samlochik dinde ta yor. Ta ngato nambe shune shena duje thamje mita pas. Dinde je shegi yorwa. Dinde indi mi phacho di gadu ina yang ta di dujarang gadu ina dujarang chene de digirwela na dinde sigi mares. Kana na ko change, it's always change, right? Duje thamje mita baladi kale ku yuwa thesi res. 양 미다 비토네야 삼 미다 비토네야 니 봐줘들 닌제 삼무다야 봐. 다 데르웨 닌제 라데 다 소소라 깡아 쟁잉기 미 소소라 깡아 쟁잉기 다 소소 이상 레군라 조에네 갑라 임바이나다 소소기다 지가 family matter 임바이나다 다 소소기 김제기 계자 임바이나다 소소기 friend 기다 내다 임바이나다 다 닌제 공당들라 제가 소소 마가와 진행 임바이나다 가래라나 간사들 니제 공고래 간사디기 behavior들라 동렌치고레스 다디 소소기다 니제기 초에 나로라 간데지강에 태기요나다 소소 레고나 도에네가블라 소소기다 family 이나다 소소 drop of friends 간데지 심베네 삼로 딘데 땅고레스 다 니제 라디 딘데 바데나 키시 딘데 마제바 이나 ताकि खारे योरेला भइना 다 미파조 이 소소라 너베갱인데라 소소양 파 가디나 롱라 남규르데 에너지 파 콘트롤 세데비나 경술레 레비오나 경파조 미들라 마레스 너겐 술리게 요레나 너바데 소소 장일라 소소 장일라 너기요레 소소 장이기 루이기 트레데 셈기 트레데 니가라 너거레스 진데 인디 아네 다 mi phajo di soso la khande de je ne soso la kang de gi yin na da hela pa soso gi chi samlo gro tan cho gi de ning je ta da je sa shengi dunge le di shengi dunge soso la dunge khande de je te gi yin na da hela ning je ke go re sungu do wa ning je la de ta mi pa sem je tham je le mi pa sem je le mi ni shengi dunga se la de dir wa da shengi soso la kang de gi na di shengi dunge ta di dunge cha gi wa mi phajo de nyomong be ignorance ki cover chene mashi be wangi chigi yosa dere mi de la ane habardu ningje gong gore sosem che gores ta dere ningje gong ne sosem ningje nyamlen da sebe nyamlen che cheba ina mi phajo de gi ta soso le se jimbo ra sa ra na da se mashimba sa ra na da soso mi se la kan khande de cheba imba ina da dere soso gi mind la disturb che tu mares right dinde indi ene ngarang zugi nya kharsa semdi grotang wadi pe gechmbores disungore da and dinde indi dichik che tangazul dizo dwe
this to Kapa
okay
Chong.
so if yeah okay so you just go ahead you just describe them and after them I will yeah okay
That's it. Okay. All right. So if you see somebody that is behaving badly, or right, they're angry or whatever it is, we can also maintain how compassion for them by thinking that whole phenomena, whole things are impermanent and are undergoing momentary change. So slowly, their behavior will change. They won't be angry constantly forever. So slowly, they will calm down and not be angry any longer, because everything is in this flux of momentary change, yeah? Flux, yeah? So, regardless if it's your friends, your family, or people that we don't know, or have that relationship with, we can maintain our sense of compassion for them, yeah? So, and wherever we go, if we're going to work, or if we're in family matters, difficult family matters or difficulties with our friends or something, we know that eventually they will calm down. It's inevitable that because they're all impermanent, they're all under the flux of change and momentariness, right? So what is the fault or what is the drawback of us not doing this, of not thinking in this way or maintaining our compassion? If we react, we get angry, we lash out, in response to their negative behaviors, yeah? Who gets the fault? We get the fault. We get we ourselves, we would eventually, we physically and emotionally or mentally, we suffer, we are harmed because we react and we lash out with those afflictive emotions of our own, and by losing our compassion for the other person. So, and so in this way, we can transform our own minds, yeah? And we remember the focus of compassion is allowing or bringing about the separation of suffering for the other individual. Yeah. So we know that they're under the control of their own afflictive emotions. So we can maintain our patience. For example, we can maintain our patience, and then regardless of any situation, we'll know that we won't be mentally disturbed ourselves. So in this way we can change, we can transform our own minds. This is really important. All right, that's Hula.
So, yeah, that day, so we have time. So, if there are any
Little
questions,
bit, yeah. 10 minutes.
yeah.
Does
So we
do
didn't.
you have any question?
Yeah, we didn't finish. Discussion about compassion. So we can do next. So if they have questions, so we can do next time. So compassion is not attachment. Compassion is not pity. Compassion is not empathy. So we next time we will going to talk about that. So
Kayla, I think Ditch has a question.
okay,
Ditch
sure.
is online. If you want to unmute, yeah, great. You could ask directly if you like.
Thank you so much for your class today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm always interested in people's personal experience. So maybe I'd like to ask you sometime when you were some experience where you were found it hard to have compassion for somebody, but did.
When you had when you found it difficult to have compassion, Kayla.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ngarang la kang test and did ba? Ninja la kang test and did ba?
Yes. And you felt difficult
yes,
to not be angry.
many time, many time. Many time and many, at the many different situation. So yes, so for me it's a difficulty when I got the difficulty for compassion for other when I was administrator in my nunnery. So I did administrator in my nunnery for 3 years. So at that time it's very difficult for me, because in my nunnery in here nowadays 150 nuns. So we are gathering, different place, different thought, different, 150 with gathering, and I need to maintain whole 150 nuns, to from young from the old. Our oldest nun is now I think 55, and the youngest nun is here nowadays age of 5. So I need to do, I need to maintain from 55 to 5. So at that time it's very difficult for me. It's very, very difficult, so they have different thought, different color the samlotang, yeah, color the
Yes, ways of thinking.
Yeah, and
different opinions.
Appearance, yeah, and so different talking, right? Geshe-dang. Sorry.
No.
So
yeah.
At that time, so for me it's very difficult. And so what I did at that time, there are Lojong Tsigema means what?
Eight verses.
8 verses.
8 verses.
Yeah, 8 verses of mind and training.
Of mind. Yes.
Training, yeah. So usually I always thinking the 8 verses of mind training. So at that time, it was really work. So when I so actually I always when just when I get up, so I have a lot of Buddha statue and a lot of books. When I get up, I'm just kunlong la motivation, right? Motivation, yeah.
Lao.
Kunlong, yeah. When I get up,
Lao.
just
Yeah.
I always I have a small altar, so I just going there, and I just always pray and thinking. So today I have whatever whatever situation happens and situation with me 칼로르당에 인지미지 말한게다 직 삼로델라 애니 직 당진 셰투가 지인스 당아 당본이는 말한게다 냠뇽기 토네 슈바이나. So from my experience, so I always when I get up, I always every time I'm doing the motivation kalorda motivation che, and I make a promise. Oh, today if I any and anything situation I need to face, I should control, so it it's will very very helpful at that time. 이나양 당보 파줘디기 배 지중중중중 dinlela ke ngazole no ke thumedo ta chi shibuji chigma napo che yona ta dindi lemsang lungla yongi dude inayang chi khadu lungla bade yante chela chik samlo o ta digi mare kisi ngarang ge pha di che beina ane ngarang susu rani mi phajola yang ta neba ajang rede imbayana susu rani la kali kange thegidu kisi nge susu rani la kali thebayina nga ta tanda losungi leje chebayina dede leje di yakuchi yongi mare. So dinde indi ta nga khari chewore sogum chewore soba chewore chewores ta ngara dinde di kunong shoba kunong dinde jikher ane phagila lega ngoji chebine kablayang ta shoba da kunong yakwoji susu kunong shuk chenpoji cheyezang kabdu chen tugudos ta dine ta di nga yifa yeah. So
That's so. Basically, is that setting that strong motivation in the morning and thinking, come whatever situation comes, then may I control myself. And really, if somebody says or does something little, it's not going to. But it's really the challenge when somebody does something really upsetting or really bad, and then straight away, I would get upset and angry. And then, yes, some, might say something harsh, but then instantly you can think, oh, that was something that I shouldn't have done. Feel regret. And of course, it's going to harm the other person, but in the long run, it's also harming myself. And working for 3 years in the administration role, it won't go, the work won't be very good if I'm not able to control myself. So setting that good motivation in the morning, then when something, very difficult comes up during the day, then there's much more likely that you'll be able to remember that intention, and stop it before it happens. So this is in my experience what has happened.
Then after after I finish my duty, and so when I came back in my room and now I'm going to sleep in the bed, I'm thinking, oh, today what I did today, yeah. So what I did, it is it's kandelo tadi yago chungdue.
Yes. Did it go well?
It's go well or not well. Yeah. So I just analyze,
Yeah, analyze, reflect.
reflect. Yeah. Ta dila ne ta so yeah, reflect. And if if I didn't work good job today, then I'm again promise. Oh, tomorrow I should more practice. Color ta dring le mawa ta yang
More
chichigins and yang 감자 cheya.
So make a promise to do better than today.
So che ane 드링 파기 데라 ngarangi mi phajo dela namgyur dang chik duja sheba digi ngarang la phendo khari chungsom ro mi phajo dela phendo khari chungyore. So I'm just analyze that.
So looking at sorry, the appearance, like the facial expression of the other person, it's
ngarangi
or
namgyur
my own facial expression, body language, appearance, is a useful, is a beneficial, is benefiting the other,
other on myself.
Yeah, of
ngarang la
yourself.
phendo khari chung.
Look,
So
so
I'm
what?
just okay.
So did I.
Yeah. So ngarangi khogi ngala chik duja ji labne nge pha namgyur temba de nge pha khalen lo badigi ngarang la phendo jung mi de.
Alright.
So
Yes.
jung mi de nge samlo tangi yes dendi.
So I would reflect. I would think about was the way that I put myself across, how I came across in terms of facial expression, body language, etc. Was it useful for me and or was it useful for others?
ngarang la neba ngarang la neba khari de didigi. What it's
Does it
useful to me
does
or
it
it harm myself, yeah. Ane
or
ta
does
dige
it
ane yeah and dine ngagi ta lega chetang de yabu chung me ba yabu ma cha yo na o ta sani nga ta chi dile ya nga ya du chi yin samne gamja che ya da diringi nge lega di che de la riga ta gyoba ke gyosim ke ya
no?
chik che.
No.
Okay.
So reflecting about the things that I could have done better. So building a sense of regret about the things that I could have done better, but also making a promise to try better the next day or in the future.
ane ta 드링 소소기 ta chi lega yabu chung yo be na 드링 ta 소소기 lega yabu chung yo be na. Oh, Rinchen, so my name is Rinchen, right? Oh, today you did good job, So ta 드링 캐랑 용원에 내가 야고 제샤 ta 켜미베 야고래 대동이나 양 제고래 소소소소라 랍자 개바. So our mind is our own teacher. So it's Buddha saying like that. Our mind is our own teacher. So dinde indi sosugi sende sosugi gegen res. Sosugi yabu chemede sosu ta ore mado mi pajo digi kira yabu chemedu lane ta yo mares. Fra ta disungi inda and tega na jinjene sosu la yanchi o drink yabu chesha tisha lane ya sosugi ta rejoice she.
So, as part of the reflection process, you can think, you can look at yourself. I did well, I did this and that really well, I did the best I could, and you can feel happy and you can feel rejoice about it. But the Buddha said that we are our own teachers, So
Or master,
we
yeah? Teacher.
master, yeah.
Yeah,
So
teachers.
we need to look and reflect on ourselves. There's not going to be anybody outside of ourselves saying you did this bad, you did that good, you did that one bad, you did that good. It's up to us to reflect, and in this case, we reflect on the good things that we did, and we can feel satisfied and rejoice about those good things. That's
And so I did, every time I'm doing that. So it's really, really helpful me. So yeah, so yeah, so I'm doing like that.
all right. So I think the time is finished.
Yeah. Okay. Then,
Do you want to make some dedication, please?
so you're asking me?
Yeah, is it okay
Sure.
if you do
Sure.
lead
Yeah.
the dedication?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
So
All right, we're
Jamal
going to
Boy, Jidara
dedicate.
Gamba Dang, Kundo Zambo, Dian Dejinde, Leda Kungish, so the Yawan Dida, Tamje Rabdo, study Karelana, Tandangarang, so dead Somia de, and a chick Naran so that Kibutanya Dang, and a chick, Tindichi the Somba Marua. Tanganzu de Somyadi, Tanganzu topic. So in our topic, finding happiness and how to ra nganzu kita ninje kandas dita legi ta nganzu kita de dinde chawadi ge chawaji chagi yores.
So, um, we didn't just gather here today for a bit of a good time, for a bit of fun, yeah. We gathered here today for the sake of finding happiness and building up what compassion is, cultivating compassion. So this action is virtuous, yeah. So or meritorious. So we usually like to dedicate that merit.
Ta
Yes.
dinde insan nganzu diring ge topic kran compassion insan thejawe tanda nganzu ge gewadi ta tanda samling nanglo la ta Israel dhamma ya ta mi de sona ngamta khaje khaje yore ta sem la ka khaje khaje yore ro ta dinzo la ngarang zongone compassion chedi ta thejawe dunga de sewa sho la ni ta jewa chedam molam gej ma do ngarang zongo su la len ta ni ta di che mi do ta dinde indi diring ge nganzu gewadi gi ene chi 나랑 저기 딱 계획서 간대지 여배이나 딱 파죠 미들 핸도 영화 쇼스 뭐지 이 차기래 아니
Yes.
디지 차기래 근데 인상다 먼저 딱 뭐지 응 남배 슝기원에 같은 거래라나 토타니라 자와니 순거래 토마기 자와지 내가 간대지 제배이네 토메 자와지 카메 자와지 토메 자야돼 kunun sangbo kia. Hame chawadi, sosu ki degi ngolo kunun kharechi chebe, kunun yagbo kharechi chebe na, tadi semjen thamje la, so sosu mayimba, rang le shinde, semjen de, ane dunga de le tuya dang, dunga le kyo tuya ki, ngwa chebe la, tota nye la chawa nis, tadi sungu yoro.
So these days, it's really important because there is a lot of, fear in people's minds with all the different, negative situations like the wars in the Middle East and Israel and so forth. So there would be an excessive amount of fear and suffering in the minds of many people. So even though we cannot directly impact, the welfare of those people. But we can at least make some prayers, some aspiration, and keep them, in our, thoughts. By, may those individuals be free, separated from suffering, and so forth. So this is a part of our dedication, of coming together today. So in Buddhism, in general, it is recommended that regardless of any sort of positive action that you're engaging in, you start with a intention or a motivation, and also you conclude that with a dedication. So in the beginning, a motivation, and at the end, a dedication to wrap it up. Okay, that's all.
yeah, that didn't
Okay.
drink a Kranzola Pento, condition with the lashing mala. In a letang of the 6 Saba, Tinde Koyasa, that Tindeki, Pento Chumi, yes. Thank you very much.
Yes. So I'm not able to say here whether or not we said was or what I said was beneficial or not. But if you heard some new words, then that would be beneficial. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
Thanks.
So yeah, so if you interest, so we can do next. So next time we will do
July.
about the July. Yeah. So compassion, June, July or August. So we will see. Yeah. So today we didn't finish about compassion. So
No.
next, yeah. So if you have interest and please join us, we can do next time. Thank you
Yes.
very much
Right.
for all of you. Thank you.
Let me just.
Have a great day. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Bye. See there.
Bye.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm planning to come Australia in August. So we'll see next. We'll see and directly in Australia. I hope.
I hope.